local, breaking news. This is WYFF News 4 at 5.
Flood watch continues across most of the western Carolinas and northeastern Georgia. Rain heavy at times. We'll talk about it in detail.
It was big enough to come across the street, so obviously we can't even see up the street right now.
A tree comes crashing down in downtown Greenville, knocking over 2 power poles and causing hundreds to lose power.
It has forever changed the landscape of that area.
And massive development in Greenville, why people say the scope of the project is more than they bargained for.
Turning to weather and impact from this afternoon. Take a look at this video out of Greenville. It was on Aberdeen Drive. Authorities say a tree fell and hit a power line, causing a small electrical fire. Firefighters say they could not put out the fire until Duke turned the power off.
Wow, that is frightening. And we want to give you a live look outside now at Greenville. This is from our Paris Mountain Skycam. It is, well, there's not much to see out there right now.
Just great. John, how long is this hanging around?
Overnight tonight, Nigel and Gabrielle, and through probably at least through tomorrow morning, possibly even into the afternoon and for most of the day. On top of Paris Mountain, they're just in the clouds and with a little bit of fog. But outside and through Greenville County, it's really just cloudy right now. I'll show you that on Live Super Doppler 4HD in just a second. But in the green shaded area, this is the area where the flood watch continues from now until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning for parts of the mountains of North Carolina, but especially the foothills of North Carolina as we get this moisture that backs up against the eastern and southeastern slopes of the mountains. That's where you could see the heaviest rainfall overnight tonight. Flood watch for the upstate and northeastern Georgia, and that goes again until 8 o'clock tomorrow morning. A little bit of a lull now as we got the system now in the eastern part, Spartanburg, Union, Gaffney, parts of Lawrence County getting rain, and rain back into northeastern Georgia. We're going to start to fill this back in a little bit later on tonight as these showers move quickly from south to north across the area. We're in the alert mode tonight because of the flood watch. Temperatures pretty much holding steady, if not even going up a degree or two possibly overnight tonight. Breezy conditions with off and on rain, possibly heavy at times. I'll be back to talk more about the storm system in detail a little bit later on. Now back to you, Gabrielle.
Thank you, John. More than 400 homes in Greenville lost power today after a tree knocked down power lines. Brendan McDavid continues our weather coverage. A scary start to the week for folks on Aberdeen Drive. The weather taking down a tree and 2 power poles.
I was on the phone with a customer and actually heard a pretty loud thud. Heard my wife screaming because we have a newborn in the house.
RJ Snyder says he looked outside and saw down power lines and an electrical fire in his front yard.
As soon as I saw the fire, I went ahead and called 911.
Greenville City Fire and police responded, blocking Aberdeen Drive for several hours. A spokesperson for Duke Energy says around 480 homes lost power.
It's probably the better part of the day, if I had to imagine, looking at how many power lines are down right now.
Public Works has crews out today, clearing drains to prevent any flooding. This is video of Cleveland Park. Parts of the upstate western North Carolina and northeast Georgia will remain under a flood watch until tomorrow morning. Snyder says he's just glad the tree didn't fall on his house.
I think with the amount of rain that we've gotten in the past few hours, the ground loosens up, and I'm sure those big trees just come right down.
Our meteorologists predict 2 to 4 inches of rain in parts of the upstate, with the heaviest falling overnight. Brendan McDavid, WYFF News 4 in Greenville.
And Duke Energy has worked for nearly 7 hours to restore power in this Greenville neighborhood. Our Joe Ripley is live and local on Aberdeen Drive with the very latest. Joe.
We are just south of downtown Greenville on Aberdeen Drive. If you look closely here, we'll show you some chunks of a tree that Duke Energy power crews have torn down here. This was the oak tree that fell on a power line, causing nearly 500 people in this area to go without power since at least 9 this morning, we're told by neighbors. We'll show you some of the work going on here. Right now you can see crews are trying to replace the span of wires and remove other debris from the road. Crews blocked off a portion of Aberdeen Drive. That's what these orange cones are for here. Earlier today we spoke with Duke Energy about how to stay safe around down power lines and their work and crews in weather like this.
Number one thing that folks need to keep in mind is just be safe. Pay attention to your surroundings. If you do see a down wire or something like that, call the cops, call first responders, and call Duke Energy and let us know about it so we can come out and address it and make sure we get everything into a safe condition.
A brief break in the rain right now. You can still hear probably the wind still kicking in this Aberdeen Drive neighborhood, but we're expecting more rain and windy conditions tonight. So while this may be a rough spot in the upstate, more damage could come. Ryan Mosier, who you just heard with Duke Energy, says this neighborhood, Clemson and York, have seen the most problems here because of this severe weather. That weather has left about 2,000 people in our area without power at this time. Joe Ripley, WYFF News 4, live in Greenville.
Joe, thank you very much. And continuing coverage, the weather is causing major problems at Clemson, where a power outage canceled classes today. WYFF News 4's Mandy Gaither is live and local in Clemson with the latest. Mandy?
In the past hour, we've seen a lot of progress here, but as you take a look behind me, you'll be able to see crews are still at work at this hour. They've been here since this morning to repair at least 2 power poles which snapped when a tree landed on a transmission line. The damage cut power to the Clemson University campus. Crews had hoped to get the repair work done more quickly, but had a hard time getting trucks to the remote area where the damage happened within the South Carolina Botanical Garden. Late this morning, Clemson went ahead and canceled all day and evening classes and activities. While we couldn't find any students who were necessarily upset about having to miss class, everyone we talked to talked about how this was bad timing. It's 1 week before final exams.
We have a lot left to learn. A lot of professors try and pack in a lot of information that last week so that we're ready for finals, and now it's going to be even less time, so it's stressful, but we'll figure it out, I guess.
Stoplights around campus were also out, but it was business as usual in the downtown area of Clemson. University employees had to either take leave or work from home today, but schedules are expected to be back to normal tomorrow. Mandy Gaither, WYFF News 4, live in Clemson.
Mandy, thank you. Now to breaking news. Clemson great and upstate native Benny Cunningham passed away this morning. He was 63 years old. Clemson football officials say Benny died at the Cleveland Clinic in Ohio. They say he had been fighting cancer and was there since early January. Cunningham played at Clemson from 1972 to 1975. He was one of 7 former Tigers with at least 2 Super Bowl championship rings, both with the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Now to breaking news this afternoon. General Counsel to the Greenville County Sheriff's Office, Lance Sheik, has resigned. An official with the Sheriff's Office confirmed the news to us this afternoon. Officials with the Sheriff's Office say Sheik was placed on paid administrative leave last week. Sheik had served as the General Counsel to the Sheriff's Office since February of last year. He was placed on administrative leave after Sheriff Will Lewis was indicted on charges of obstruction of justice and misconduct in office.
New details on breaking news today. The suspect, authorities say, was behind the deadly Waffle House shooting in Tennessee is now in police custody. Authorities say the suspect, Travis Reinking, opened fire at a Nashville Waffle House with an AR-15. 4 people were killed and 2 others were wounded. Police say he was found hiding in a wooded area near his apartment. Waffle House customer James Shaw Jr. is being called a hero after confronting the gunman. Coming up in about 10 minutes, how authorities say the suspect got his weapon and why it's raising questions.
We want to take you to Florida now and show you this video. It shows a tornado ripping through the Florida Panhandle yesterday. You can see a truck, and it is going to be picked up and dropped back down then as the tornado moved through this area. These winds very, very powerful here, very strong. Thankfully, no injuries have been reported.
Just over an hour ago, another upstate textile company announced it is closing its doors. Alice Manufacturing in Easley is shutting down its Ellison plant. At 3 o'clock today, 175 employees were notified. For 50 years, the plant produced yarn for a number of different products. The CEO of the company sat down with me today to let the community know that he says it's his personal goal to make sure the employees find work in the area.
And we're going to do our very best to make sure every person that works at the plant has an opportunity to continue and to have an opportunity to work.
When you say every person, do you mean it?
Absolutely, absolutely. I'll be receiving weekly reports. We are determined to see folks have the opportunity to make this transition as smoothly as possible.
The phasing out of operations at the Ellison plant has already begun. McKissick says production will likely stop by the end of June.
WYFF News 4 Investigates is taking a closer look at claims made during last night's Democratic debate hosted by WYFF 4. Phil Noble believes the gas tax is a good way to collect money from tourists driving through the state. He said South Carolinians should get some of their gas tax money back.
I think we ought to increase the gas tax so that people from out of state pay more of the tax. Then we can rebate some of that back in tax relief to middle and low income South Carolinians. And so that's a way for people outside of South Carolina to pay for our taxes and our roads, which is just smart politics, which is sort of absent from South Carolina state government, to say the least.
Now, we found a similar program is already happening. The law which brought the gas tax also brought a tax credit for drivers in the state. When you file your taxes next year, you will be able to claim the motor fuel income tax credit. You do have to save your receipts.
Concerns growing over a major development along Interstate 85 and Pelham Road in Greenville.
As we first told you, Top Golf, which is a large outdoor golfing entertainment venue, will soon be located just off Garlington Road.
Now neighbors are telling Tim Waller there are plans to increase the size of the development.
It's hard to envision on this rain-soaked day what the Garlington Park development will look like when it's finished, but neighbors fear it's going to ruin their way of life. It was a tough pill to swallow when Cecilia Hardy learned Top Golf will be located just up the hill from where she lives.
Noise, traffic, light pollution. It's basically live music, outdoor sports arena venue.
But now she says the developer of the project wants to expand its reach by another 12 acres by buying up nearby residential land and building a massive distribution center, making the drive down Garlington Road a nightmare.
It's difficult to maneuver a traffic signal when you have a sedan blocking the way. Imagine when you have 18-wheelers blocking the way. I mean, and piled up and piled up and piled up.
The developer of the project, Realty Link, did not return our phone calls or emails today. But Hardy claims the land developers are trying to acquire is the last buffer between them and a noisy future. Tim Waller, WYFF News 4, Greenville County.
Have you heard? The new royal baby is here. Video from outside of the hospital earlier today shows Prince William with his 2 children in tow heading to the hospital to meet their new baby brother.
I'm Sally Kidd in Washington. A massive manhunt comes to an end. Police capture a suspect in the Waffle House shooting in Nashville.
And you can see we actually have 2 storm systems, one upper level low to our northwest and a surface low to our southeast that will continue to affect our weather. I'll be right back.